I've done this intro a lot because signings keep getting made as I'm making the intro. Isaiah Weed being the most recent one. There are a couple others from a few days ago, so I've had to watch more tape, pivot around, see what's going on. So, we're finally here now with 10 signings that I want to talk about. A to F as per usual. Again, if I don't say you're an A+, that doesn't mean I don't like you. It's just my opinion. As Oscar Wilde said, what's worse than people talking about you is people not talking about you. So I want to give these players their due diligence and portray my feelings on their signings. I want to say how much I love the league making earlier signings this year. I felt like last year we were waiting till the last week of the season in some cases to see teams make signings. Now we'll get them early, gives us stuff to talk about all the way through the off-season, which I love personally. It feels like the teams have started to ramp up the marketing aspect, which I love. That being said, let's get into the video. And yes, I'm still ill, but I really do appreciate people that have reached out to me and asked if I'm okay. That does mean a lot. Getting through it. It's been a few months now, which I'm kind of bored of being ill at this point. But also the photo app that we used to make the thumbnails and stuff like that was also down, so I couldn't make as many graphics as I wanted to. If you want to go follow my Instagram, I do a lot of like statistical, graphical evaluation stuff in writing form. So if you're interested in that, go and check out my Instagram. And while we're there, go follow First Sound Magazine as well, because fuck it. And yeah, let's actually get into the evaluations. A little bit of touch on evaluations, mostly just talking about the players. But you know how it is. This is a very informal, vibey thing rather than a full evaluation on the players. If you want evaluations on the players, I'll link them linked in the description as well. So I strongly believe that Dusan Ivanovic is an all-star level defensive end of this league. Serbian bobslider, incredible burst off the line. Whenever I'm talking about a player in Europe to coaches and I talk about bursts, Dusan is the player I compare them to. Oh, Kitchen has great burst. Kind of like Dusan Ivanovic. Oh, this guy doesn't have great bursts. Do you know who does is Dusan Ivanovic. That's literally all I talk about, is how great his burst is. I've made a video on him. If you want to go watch that, I'll link that in the description. So I won't go too much into the evaluation of him. However, he proved to me that he can stay on the field a lot more this season. He improved on his run stopping. Like, he wasn't as good as rushing the passer because you had AJ Wetland, who was taking up a lot of the limelight of that team. And teams would often run away from Dusan, which is very respectable because he's an incredibly good player. And then the Panthers had so much stuff going on in the background that his jumping ability kind of went under the radar. It was a massive shame because he had season highs in basically everything but sacks. And he had just a different role where he was playing a little more inside, he would move around the line, he would take up double teams and stuff like that. So he's a fantastic player. I think the Raiders Tyrrell have got an absolute fucking gem, because it seems like people who watch a lot of tape, me and other coaches and other evaluation people in this community and other analysts, know how good he is. But I feel like the casual fan doesn't know how good Dusan can be. I think he's an all-star level player. Through and through. I have no problem saying that at all. I wanted to put my credibility on that one. And I think that he's going to have a big jump up this season. I really do. He's already great. And I think that he's going to be even better with the Raiders because they have made so many good players in that system, especially on the defensive line. They have great coaching over there. They're rough, hard-nosed, blue-collar, like kind of just do it and don't talk much, which from my experience, I haven't talked to Dusan that much, but he's not a big talker, online with just his numbers. So I think that he'll fit in really, really well. And I think that he can make that step up. They've got a great signing. Got to be an A, in my opinion. I think it's an A. It would be an A+ if he was already an all-star. If he goes up to an all-star, this one will be an A+. But currently, I'm going to go for an A. To us, I think this is such a great signing. I love this signing because he's a homegrown receiver who had over 600 yards, which is kind of crazy considering he's a volume guy. He had over 100 targets. He actually had only 2 less targets than Robitaille had last season. He's literally instrumental because to have a receiver of this quality that has this good hands, he's consistent, he's reliable, he's a good route runner. I have all of this in a video that I'll also link in the description if you're interested on the full evaluation on Nando. But it's just an A+ signing, like it just is, because he's a very reliable, homegrown Hungarian receiver. How many of those could you really rely on? It's pretty much just him. No disrespect to the other guys. I know they're going to take steps up, but he is the fucking guy for that team that they needed to sign that receiver core if they wanted a number 2. And he is number 2 in that team. He's a former Triple Crown winner in a domestic league. I can't really say enough good stuff about this signing. I think it's brilliant because you need it. You need the great Hungarian players. If they didn't sign him, they'd lost him to maybe a GFL team or other people in the league or whatever. Cataclysmic, but they've got him in, so A+. And it may sound a little bit weird to people that don't understand the rules of the European League of Football, so I'll clear that up quickly. Because an A+ for a Hungarian receiver that counts the homegrown is a bit weird compared to an A for a Serbian defensive end who I said is going to be an all-star. Homegrowns have a lot more. You can't win without homegrowns. Like, you just can't. And the Hungarian team, the Fehervine Throners, are obviously not going to win without their best homegrowns. So this holds an incredible amount of value, whereas an import spot also does, but not in comparison to the homegrowns. I think I've articulated that well enough. Ludwig Marin, probably one of the most well-respected linebackers in the entire league. He spent 3 seasons at the Berlin Thunder, where he's become an all-star. He's only 23 years old, and he's going to count as a homegrown for the Nordic Storm, which is like crazy. To have this level of a player count as a homegrown for you. He's played over 30 games in the league, over 300 tackles. He's got 10 sacks as a linebacker. He plays a lot of like outside linebacker because he's a little bit smaller in terms of size. I think he's going to bulk up during this offseason because the West, which we're expecting them to be in the West, we don't have any official alignment as of now where they'll play in terms of conference. But he's going to have to deal with a lot of really strong running backs over there. So I imagine he's going to bulk up a little bit. But he's a phenomenal player. Good in coverage, good off the line, good in run stopping, can cover tight ends, can cover running backs. He's able to cover receivers better than people think. A+, right? You get an all-star level player that's a homegrown. It's kind of just a given, to be honest. I will be making a video on Ludwig during the season of just how good he is, breaking down some of his tape when he gets into the Nordic Storm, maybe a little bit earlier. I still have a lot of other evaluations to do in the meantime, but for me, this one is a very clear and easy A+. While on the topic of Nordic Storm, we may as well bash out all of their signings. Raheem Christensen. When I heard this was happening, I was very happy. He is my highest graded centre in Europe ever. He's a 3-time All-Star. He is a Danish homegrown for this team. He's going to be reunited with Glenn and Jadrian. The only reason he wasn't All-Star last year is because he retired, and now he's come back to play for his hometown team. Raheem's an A+. It doesn't even need to be said. Like, he's phenomenal. I actually have one of my first ever videos on this channel when it comes to evaluating was of Raheem. So if you want to go look at that one, I'll leave that link in the description. It's very old, like the production level's terrible and stuff like that, and I'm not very confident in front of camera. I don't think I'm on camera for that video, so it's not very good quality. But if you want to go look at what I thought of him, I think last season before he retired, it might have been just before the 23 season, go look at that. But I mean, it's a fucking A+, right? 3-time All-Star, probably a European Hall of Famer. He's won rings at 2 different teams, and he's a homegrown. Enough said. Staying on Nordic Storm, staying on players I've made videos about, go and watch Chad Warren's video on my channel. It's probably one of my best ones I've ever done. I'm really proud of it. Cliff Note version, broke out this season with the Stockard Surge, was used as a slot corner with Cologne, transitioned to a safety with the Surge, a lot more in terms of his role, and it really just showed the best of his ability. He was an all-star in 2024, had a great season, was able to stay healthy, able to turn the ball over, which were my 2 main critiques from the preseason, which he managed to overturn, which is excellent for him. Great returner, adds a lot of athleticism into this defense, which I think it was missing, because I've done a whole video on the Nordic Storm. Go and watch that, link to the description. There's a lot of links in the description adding up. But their defense needed a little bit of athleticism, and Chad's a freak athlete. He's extremely fast, extremely quick, has good hips as well. Watch the video. And they needed it. He's a great signing. He's probably the best DB in the Britain. Well, he is the best DB in Britain. And he's one of the best DBs in Europe, and he's elevated to that level. Here's my thing. I need to see how he looks without Fettig and without Raheem Wilson. That's something I'm just interested in. It's not critique. I know some people are going to be like, oh, you're saying it, whatever. I want to see how he looks without those 2 guys next to him, see if he can step up into how good they were for the Surge. Now that he's not with them, we don't know what the American DB situation looks like with the Storm yet. I'm soon we'll find out. I'm sure he'll be great. I'm going to give this one, I'm going back and forth between A and A-, because he is an E, so he's not a homegrown player, so I wouldn't maybe give it an A-star. And still, I think I'm going to go with an A. I think I'm going to go with an A. It was A or A minus for me, but I think I'm going to go with an A. The ball disruption part of his game is still developing, and I need to see how he looks without the American safeties next to him. That's my two big things, but again, he could step up into an A+. I don't have any doubts about it. If he gets his second All-Star appearance, as maybe he is a both returner and safety, because he's very capable of doing that, then he'll be an A+, but for now I'm going to stick with the A. Okay, now this is a signing I honestly didn't really want to talk about, because it's not very fun for me to say that I don't like signings, but I don't like this signing, because if it was Jock as a running back, that would be a different grade, because, I mean, I've vented my opinions on American running backs in this league before. I do not think they work. With Milan, he was successful, over 600 yards, over 4.5 yards a carry, did fumble the ball 3 times, but had 4 touchdowns, so sign that evens out. But he's not playing as a running back, is he? He's playing as an athlete, and I know that he's going to be trying to play safety. Here's the thing, he's played safety, I believe, in the IFL a little bit last season or the season before. However, the most of the time he spent safety was in like high school. Bear in mind, Jock's like in his late 30s, so when he was in high school, I was 4 years old. No critique on him. I've heard nothing but good things about Jock's character, and this has got nothing to do with his fault or anything. But there are so many great safeties that are American. You could play at safety. There's literally happens to be fucking safety that plays running back. That's just been released by Vienna in Xavier Edwards. They could have had, if they wanted a safety to play running back, they could have got Xavier Edwards. If he didn't want to go, they could have went after another young safety. There are hundreds of safeties coming out of college every single season that have experience at safety. Why would you sign a running back to play safety? I just don't understand. We're a professional league, and this looks very unprofessional on the team, in my opinion. If he turns around and has a fucking all-star safety season, then he can call me an idiot as much as he wants. That's fine by me. I don't see how this makes much sense from a squad building role. Again, if it was Jock at running back, it would be different because he is a good running back, but he's not a safety. I think it's got to be a D. It's an uncomfortable one, but that's my rant. It's not, again, it sucks that I have to give low ratings, but I'm not gonna pander and be like, oh, I think it's a really good. I don't think it's a good signing. So there's a fucking dog giving it the business outside. Multiple minutes later, the dog has calmed down. It's just not, in my opinion, the best move of an A spot. You only get 4 of them. They're so valuable, and you can only have 2 on the ball on offense, 2 on defense. They're going to be moving him onto offense with, I'm assuming, Ajax or Isaiah Weed. But then when you take one of them off, it's obvious what you're going to do. You take off Weed, you put him in the backfield, you're going to run the ball. If you take off Ajax and you have an American backfield, you're going to run the ball. If you don't have him on the field, they're going to target Ajax or Milan Saliba, which we'll get to in a second. It just makes it's a confusing system. I'm not a fan of it. Happier signings. Milan Saliba is back to the Helvetic Mercenaries, which we didn't think may even happened, and I'm happy that it did. He's a phenomenal player. He's a homegrown. He should have been an all-star. No, how the fuck he wasn't an all-star. 1,000 yards, first European to ever do so. Did it in his rookie year. A+, obviously. The only bad thing is that we won't see him with Aiken again because they've signed Weed, and we'll get to that in a second. And Aiken looks like he might be retiring, so happy retirement to Colin. Friend of the channel, as always. I like Milan a lot. He's a great route. I've done a video on Milan. Go and check it out in the description. I'll keep it brief. Great route runner. Good hands. Rookie of the year. One of the best European receivers in the league at the moment, honestly. And I'm excited for him in the second season. We just need to see the ball get to him. Because now they've got Ajax. They've got Milan. They now have Jock at maybe running back. They've got Weed, who's going to be throwing the ball, and I think that Weed and him should, on paper, connect really, really well, because Weed connects a lot with people like Lorex and with Bofenda at the tail end of his Cologne career, and I think Milan could fill into that role with a lot of short out routes, inside routes, and a lot of short and intermediate versatility. So we'll see how that goes. I would predict him to have another big season, and he's a phenomenal player. It's an A+. Whatever you say, because he's homegrown, it's one of the best receivers in the league It only makes sense. Love this signing. Kevin Kaya is back with the Frankfurt Galaxy, and there was a lot of questions. French receiver, Paris done really well, showed that he can be a great number 2 to an American in this league. Great spectacular catch, over 750 yards and 6 touchdowns in his first season in the year that. He was phenomenal, and I think he went really under the radar just as one of the best receivers in Europe, especially one of the best deep threats, and I do intend on doing a video on him as well. I was a big fan of him. Really big fan of him during the season, and I was very excited to see where he would land, because having a number 2 guy is rare, and he is one of those guys, and for them to keep him is huge. So it's got to be an A, right? I think he's an all-star level player. I mean, he is. He's just such a competitive field receiver, but he is a phenomenal player. He's played in the CFL. Great player. I can't really say much more about him. I just think it's a great signing. It shows that they're still trying to make a push, because last year was a year we're going to beat the Ryan Fire, and then they sucked. So for them to maintain some of the really high quality players they had last season is a big step in the right direction. And Kevin Kaya, you could argue with Mahonu out most of the year last year that he's the best French receiver, and they've kept him out of the hands of their rivals. Again, we don't know if that goes to the same conference, but it's a huge swing. Max is a player I had to put in after I've done most of the stuff in this video, but I've known Max for a couple of seasons now. Uber athletic defensive end, one of the quickest, probably in the 40 defensive ends we have in the league, arguably. And he was a lot in rotation at the Ryan Fire defensive line, so wasn't massively able to shine as much as some people might have thought he had. He also moved interior a lot. Had a good playoff run though, able to get sacked in the final and towards the end of the year. As we see with quite a lot of Fire defensive ends, they have slow starts and then they start piling up at the end of the year. That was the case with Max, 23 years old, freak athlete, great length. Excited to see how he develops. I think that he does have some development to do, because he is a very exceptional athlete, but he's still very new to football. He's been playing football for like 3 years. This is his first main season. He was in the CFL, didn't play, so this was his first proper full professional season. So excited to see what he does for the Nordic Storm. They need athleticism, as I said with Chad. Same kind of thing, where they have athleticism on the defensive back core now. They've added athleticism to the defensive line. We don't know who they're going to get defensive line, as Zetterberg is the obvious choice for the interior, and he would probably slot in next to him, or maybe outside as a rush. We'll see what they do with him, because he is kind of a player that they can mould. If they want to use him more as a 3, if they want to push him out to maybe a 6, they have the option to do so, because he is such a good athlete and hasn't played so much in a certain role that he's locked into certain things and habits. So there's a lot of open doors. I'm going to give it a B+, because athleticism, potential, incredibly high ceiling, and more Brits. Isaiah Weed is a mercenary now. I have a lot to say about this one. This one honestly could do its own video. It's an interesting signing. And let me just start by saying this. Do I think Isaiah Weed can win a championship as the main quarterback? I don't think so. Is he a very fun, entertaining player that's going to bring in people into the games? Yes. Did he show a lot of progression in the second half of the season? Yes, I think that he did. Does he have amazing running ability? Yes, he does. Is he a little bit too reckless sometimes? Yes, he is. He's a Jekyll and Hyde kind of player. You have these amazing 60, 70-yard runs, and a minute later you have an interception that was never meant to be thrown. He did throw over 60%, and again, later half of the year, we saw him start dicing teams up with those shorter gains. That's why I think Milan Saliba is going to be such a big part of this. But then you saw those picks, and there's just fuck it, someone's down there somewhere kind of throws. So that's the big thing with Isaiah. And see if he's able to just maybe calm down, and see if he's able to lead the team into this. Because the Helvetic team was fucking bad last year with everything that was going on. 1-11, they had injuries at quarterback position. Their offensive line was awful, and I know who they're going to sign, or at least I know who they've attempted to sign at the offensive line position. I think it will be improved, but we need to see how he is able to play the role. I don't think he's as good as Aiken. I'm going to make that clear because people are going to ask. I think that Colin Aiken is a better quarterback than Isaiah Weed. As a flat statement, a lot more that goes into it than just that, but that's just my personal opinion. I'm going to give this one a B. I think it could be good, it could be bad. It's literally, you never know what you're going to get with Isaiah. I'm happy to see him back in the league though, because he's such an insane player. It's just we really don't know what we're going to see until we see it. That's the thing with Isaiah. He's a hard player to evaluate. And that's rounded us out. Part 2 now done. A lot of signings still left to do. A lot of people I've missed out on this one just due to like having a little bit more players. I can do a little bit more of these consistently, but teams are fucking signing people like crazy. There's a lot still to come that I know about that aren't public yet. It's all going on. My phone's been blowing up every time a signing gets made. This is going to go out the same day I record it. Hopefully, if I get it done in time. A lot of stuff going on. Still trying to make deals happen, so we'll see how that goes. Still got university stuff. Trying to stream if I can, watch games, but I've got UV season that's in the midst of, so I haven't really been able to as much as I would like to stream. But we'll see. I don't think we've really got anything else. It's just signings at the moment. I'm going to try and do the Alexander video. I know I've been saying about that for months. I really do need to do that. There's a lot of evaluations I want to do, but I also want to do them with a camera. Like, I want to get a camera, and maybe you might be able to do that, but I don't know. We'll find out. Probably not, but we'll find out. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know who you think I've been wrong on, who I'm right on. Give your own grades. Let's conversate. See you guys later. Thank you very much. See you later. Goodbye.